Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Crypto Luke. I'm here today to go through some of my Degen coins and just give you a bit of a market update, where we're at, where I expect us to go, and why I hold some of these low cap coins that I believe could go exponentially higher. So first of all, I thought it'd be really good to show you some of the coins that I'm actually holding and just try and showcase the fact that when you zoom out, the picture becomes clearer, and the opportunities become greater. Because I think a lot of the time today if we looked at the top 100, I believe, 2.2%, 1.5, everything is down. We've been bleeding today, but it's just a small bleed. I mean, this is fairly normal for crypto, but if we zoomed out a week, look, 64% on Clanker, 12.3% on XCN, Bitcoin's up 3.1%. It's okay, it's not bad. Month, where we at? Clanker, 48%. Everything else is down on the market. Let's zoom out further. Let's look at where we're at in terms of the year. And this is where I find it exciting when people are going, it's hard to outperform Bitcoin. And it really is. Bitcoin is the safe option. But if we look at, if you'd held your coins at the beginning of the year and you were in these markets, you could have had 800% gain on XCN, almost a 200% on SUI, 350% pretty much on XRP. And Ethereum's the one that's really been lagging behind. To be fair, we need Ethereum to increase. You've got a number of Ethereum. It's one of my bets. It's one of my old school coins that I've been holding for a number of years. But we really need that to lead the front for us to get that alt season. I do think at some point during the year we are going to see Ethereum really push the market. But let's get straight into it. Let's cut into what is CRV, why am I invested. Looking at this coin, we're at about 50 cents. I entered a trade today, just I think it was a 5x, so low leverage. I never go really above that. I entered it at about 49 cents, and my expectations are we go higher from here. Why is that? Because we've been continuously hitting this sloping line resistance. It's been going down and down and down and hitting lower lows, etc., and stuff like that. My expectations are we go up from here. If I look at it in terms of volume, it's began to increase, and I just have a lot of confidence in this coin. If you actually do any research on this, one thing I recommend is look, everyone is getting into stable coins. Trump's getting into stable coins. All these other businesses out there are trying to launch it. The banks are. You wait and see. And like CRV, if you do, obviously go ahead, do your own research, but they're really heavily linked and involved in that, as well as liquidity and trading. I think they're a massive play. Look into them, look into CVX as well, similar kind of game. I'd recommend looking at, I think it's Credible on X. He actually believes that this coin could be going $10 plus. I'm personally looking at $5 plus. That's kind of where I'm going to be exiting. And that's where I'm at in terms of kind of CRV, and why I'm holding that coin. I'd really recommend doing your own research, and if you want me to go into detail just on this one coin on its own and the reasons why, I'm more than happy to. Just drop me a comment, subscribe, let me know. Look, why do I hold Clanker token bot? I'm sure there's a lot of you out there I've never heard of it, couldn't care about it, etc. Think Solana with only 1 million cap, easy to create your own meme coin in seconds. For me, look, the volume you need to pump this is nothing. And for me, it was an easy trade today. Look, one line, sloping line resistance, we broke it, went up, retest, straight up. One of my targets was to reach obviously 60 bucks. I think that's where the 0.618 fib goes up to. We reached around about 56 today, but we've come all the way back down to 48. I have taken some profits out in terms of that leverage trade, but in terms of this, I have a lot of faith. It's a Degen coin, not gonna lie. Look, it only launched back in November. That's not when I bought it. It was at $130, and we've just been falling and falling and falling, but following the sloping line resistance all the way up until now. And look, we're beginning to get a bit of a pump out of that. I'm pretty bullish in terms where this is and where we look to go. As you can see, where I entered, $27 approximately. And again, a million cap, doesn't take many holders to push the price up. You know, I'm not as invested in it as I am with my ETHs, Bitcoin, Solanas, even XRPs. But when you actually break it down, if you're looking for, you know, that 10, 15, 20x, this one definitely can do that. Especially if we enter that kind of degen cycle of altcoins. And I don't believe everything is going to pump, but I am looking at those that you know, don't require a lot of volume in order to hit some pretty significant prices where I'm generating a lot of profit. Because yes, I am in this to make money. I'm not in this because, you know, I love every single coin. If you're looking for, you know, an XRP king or you know, a Clanker hero or whatever you want to call those people, or even an XCN guru, I'm not that guy. I'm in it to make money, and ultimately to be trading it to get USDT so I can invest in other things outside of crypto and make my life easier. And ultimately that's what I've been doing for a while now. Now let's break down XCN. Look, XCN, go do your research on this coin. I'm not too sure, in all honesty, what its purpose is. It's something you're going to want to look at. I think it's like peer-to-peer lending and some other bits and pieces, but it's, what does it do? I mean, the big thing I got into it was because, to be honest with you, I was looking at a chart, saw it absolutely pumping, got a bit of FOMO, got into it, and the staking rewards are mental. Decentralized blockchain infrastructure enhances financial services. It functions as both a utility governance token, allowing holders to participate in the Onyx DAO. Now look, there's loads of voting on there. I'm part of the Telegram, but I have seen what I would believe to be either market makers or etc. Affecting the price, because there's been times where it's just absolutely bolted. Like, I mean, we went all the way up. I think it was high, like 4 cents, 5 cents the day. Yeah, like 5 cents. Now, where did I enter? I ended up somewhere. Where did I enter? To be fair, you know, I entered. Well, I have to pick up my trade. I can't remember where I actually entered the market, but I followed it all the way up. Not even. I didn't follow it up to 5 cents. I followed it up to about 3.5. And to be honest with you, I exited like 50-60% of my bag, and I've just been holding it in. It's like 30% return on stake, which, you know, I have been on the Telegram before saying I need to lower that because it creates selling pressure on a day-to-day basis and makes it harder for the coin to pump. But also 30% on, you know, essentially free coins, which I've got now, is fantastic. And to me, my next price target is pretty much bang on 2 cents. And, you know, I do believe we're actually going to get there, to be honest with you. Again, doesn't need a lot of volume in order to pump the prices. When you look at the chart, you know, it looks pretty good. It's already had a mega pump before. It's got quite a good following. There's a guy on X called Crypto Bull, who I think you know, has quite a lot of interest in this coin, and ZBCN, which is not something that I'm particularly interested in, but you know, I do believe this could go up, and the staking rewards are, you know, madness. At some point they're going to end, and I do believe when that ends and that sell pressure decreases, I think you're going to see the price go up and up and up, because they will not be able to afford to continue that kind of staking reward. I've already seen it reduce a few times. I think it's like 28% now. If you've got 1 million coins, you know, you're getting 280,000 coins per annum. That is mental, for free. Okay, cool, you have to pay a little bit of Ethereum to stake them, but you can compound that every single day. Mental. But that's why I'm holding XCN. Like I said, bit of a live wire. The reason why I got into that was literally, like I said, I believe it's back here. I saw it was beginning to pump, bit of FOMO. I was like, Jesus, what's going on here? And because, to be honest with you, it was a FOMO trade at the time, I got out around about 3 cents, like 50-60% of my bag. I've just retained the rest. I haven't bought any more. Literally just been staking it and keeping it. So, you know, if it goes tits up, I'm absolutely fine. But again, even today, a bit of a pump, breaking the trend line. Could be going up. I think you know it's difficult with coins at this level, but I do believe, you know, we like a healthy price action here would be to retest the trend line and then push to 2 cents, and that's where I'd like to see XCN go next. My fourth Degen coin, and I will go through some of my larger cap coins, because that's where the majority of my spot bag is, and often if I am doing, you know, future trading, because it's much more risky on the smaller Degen coins, I do tend to do that on the Bitcoins, the XRPs, the SUIs, and the Ethereums. But if we break down TEL, I've kind of been burnt by this one at some point here, admittedly. So I think it's always important to be honest. You know, at the moment, I'm in a bit of a loss here. I saw TEL became first the bank. TEL coin bank. And they were the first. This is where I really began to get excited. Like, TEL coin becomes, or secures approval to be the first digital asset depository institution in Nebraska. Basically getting a banking license. I mean, that's mad. Crazy. TEL coin, do some research. I think this is going to definitely pump higher. Poised to become the first regulated crypto bank in the United States. Absolutely crazy. All these banks are racing to do it. TEL coin did it first. Definitely do your own research on this one. But again, look, it's a Degen coin. You know, we've been testing this. We haven't broken through yet. What are my price targets for this? If I look back to where, so I bought it before, where, like, yeah, like you can see where I've been trading it, to be fair. This is probably where I began to trade it. I'd have to go back to it, back in December of last year. Again, I don't futures trade with this. I've held it all the way up to there. And to be honest with you, because again it's a Degen coin, this one, you know, I've just held it. So if I actually look back to where we are here, where I began to actually trade, which I imagine I would have entered the trade around here, I'm down. You know, let's measure how far. It's quite annoying. I am probably about 50% down on what my trade was, and I think it's always important to be honest. Not every trade's going to work out, especially if you're in Degens. I'm still holding this bag, but I don't mind if I lose it all on this coin, because my expectations are, when I'm trading these coins that are low caps, etc., my expectations are if I lose it, great. But if it 10x's, fantastic. It doesn't matter. And that's why you need primarily most of your portfolio to be in the larger coins. If we take a look now at like Bitcoin dominance, it's looking like we could, you know, have a double top on 65.98%. Could we go all the way up to this trend line here, around about 66.6? I hope not. But if you look at the news, everything is bullish. Bitcoin, everyone's buying it. Banks, companies, I mean, their stock prices are just pumping because of that. But when you actually look at this, US Treasury, again, part of CRV, right? Treasuries face stablecoin-driven demand surges, supply looms. To me, that's only going to feed into CRV. And if that happens, you know, absolutely happy days. Bit of bad news, if I'm looking at news right now, is Judge rejects SEC Ripple motion on XRP sales. and penalty of 250 minutes. Basically, that's not good for XRP in the short term. Now that might mean that the XRP price comes down in the short term, which, to be honest, is normally like you want to trade against retail. You want to trade against where it's going. Yeah, we've come down significantly today, all the way down to $2.09. But I don't think that's going to affect price that much. To be honest with you, I think that's already been priced in, and I do believe when you actually break it down, both the SEC and Ripple, I think would have thought this was going to happen anyway. When you actually read into it, if you do your own research, look online, I think you'll see there's quite a lot there that happens. Coinbase as well, their own coin is absolutely pumping from that perspective. But yeah, like, I mean, it's frustrating if you're an XRP holder. My God, how many years do we have to wait for this, lawsuit just to end? But it is going to end at some point, and for me, that's only going to help the XRP price pump higher. Now let's break it down. Like, fear and greed index neutral. If you went on Bitcoin, it's actually in the greed. So this is the overall market, but the Bitcoin is actually in greed at the moment. Altcoin season still 19, nowhere near it. Market cap 3.29. It's only 0.37% down. But when we break down, that must mean that there's been a bit of action in the last. There's been a bit more action in the last hour. Probably need to check what's going on. It's not huge pumps, but if we look at the overall day, primarily most stuff's down other than Clanker. If we look at the week, again, Clanker. Have a look if you're looking for a Degen coin. That has the opportunity to pump. Like I said, my picks are Tel, XCN, Clanker, and yeah, those are the ones that I'm invested in. Those are the ones that I believe. Guys, please like and subscribe. Like I said, this is my second video. If you've got any thoughts on the rhetoric or what I'm trying to do, let me know. If there's anything you want to see more of, if you want me to go more in depth than just one coin, like